I will call the meeting to order. Good evening all and welcome. This is the regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Swan Valley West, held in Council Chambers, 216 Main Street West, Swan River, Manitoba. This 12th day of May at 7:05 p.m. Present, myself, Deputy Reed Balasha, Councillor Foster, Wills, Pierpont, and Kushniryk, as well as Councillor Gade via telephone. Interim-Acting CAO Ken Jenkins via phone as well. And from Administration, Donna Potts.
Finance, James.
And from Finance, James Webb. Moved by Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Wills. Resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of Council held this 12th day of May 2020 shall be adopted as there should be a couple of changes actually made on there as far as I'm concerned. I believe 9.2 as well as 9.5 should be moved to in camera. Anyone have an issue with that?
I don't see any reason to move 9.2.
Normally, when individuals are named, it is not out to the public.
That's not the requirement of the Act. The Act requires it would prejudice the municipality if we discuss that in public, and there's no way that item could prejudice us by discussing it in public.
Are we referring to 9.2? Am I correct?
Yes.
Your call, Ken.
Well, I would have to say, Mr. Reed, that technically doesn't fall into the realm of the in-camera discussion.
Okay.
It's a public issue, if you will.
Okay. What about 9.5?
9.5 is on the line. I would say here in camera. That's just, it's council's decision, but I would still say that it might have an impact on where we want to go in the future. So yeah, that could be held in camera. It also involves other municipalities, so I don't think that anybody should have a problem with that going in camera.
Okay, anyone have an issue with it? No. Okay, shall be adopted as amended. Any comments, questions? Not all in favor?
Yes.
That is carried. Okay, number 3. Moved by Councillor Balasha, second by Councillor Pierpont, resolved that the minutes for the regular meeting of Council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West held on April 28, 2020 shall be adopted as circulated. Any errors or omissions in there? Not all in favor? Opposed? Councillor Gade, did you vote in favor?
Said yes, but maybe I should say it a little louder to make sure you hear it.
Yeah, I heard it that time, thank you. That is carried. No public works report, right?
No.
Petitions, delegations. Okay, we're on to 7.1, application for variance on the Southwest 28, 34, 27. Resolution for that?
We got it.
I got it.
Yeah, yeah. Daryl, you can.
Moved by Councillor Foster, second by Councillor Balasha. Whereas the owners of part of Northwest 1/4 Section 12, 3428 WPM have made an application to subdivide their property, and whereas the Council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West has reviewed said application, along with a letter received from Community and Regional Planning dated April 29th, 2020, and had no objections to the aforementioned subdivision. Therefore be it resolved, we do hereby approve the subdivision of the aforementioned property, provided all conditions and requirements set out in said letter from the Province of Manitoba Community and Regional Planning Branch are met. Any comments or questions on that?
Which one was that? That was, you okay with that? Yeah.
If not, all in favor?
Yes.
That is carried. Moved by Councillor Wills, second by Councillor Kushniryk. Resolved that a public hearing shall be held on June 23rd, 2020 at 7:15 p.m. for the purpose of receiving presentations from those who may be interested in regards to the request for a variance order increasing the maximum site area from 10 acres to 12.2 acres within the AG zone on the property commonly known as the Southwest 283427W. And be it further resolved that all necessary advertising, mailing, and posting of the notice for said hearing shall be made in accordance with the Planning Act. Any questions or comments on that? If not, all in favor?
Oh, yes.
That is carried. Moved by Councillor Pierpont, second by Councillor Kushniryk. Whereas the owners of part of Southeast 1/4 Section 313428 WPM have made an application to subdivide their property, and whereas the Council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West has reviewed said application, along with the conditional approval letter received from Community and Regional Planning dated April 30th, 2020, and have no objections to the aforementioned subdivision. Therefore be it resolved that we do hereby approve the minor subdivision of the aforementioned property, provided all conditions and requirements set out in said letter from the Province of Manitoba Community and Regional Planning Branch are met. Questions or comments on this? If not, all in favor? That is carried. Moved by Councillor Foster, second by Councillor Kushniryk. Whereas under Section 252 Sub 2 of the Municipal Act, the amount of costs set out for services and supplies owing to the municipality can be collected in the same manner as a tax may be collected or enforced under this Act. Therefore be it resolved that the fees as per attached list of roll numbers owing to the Municipality of Swan Valley West as of today's date shall be moved to the tax roll for the appropriate property, and a notice shall be sent to all property owners reporting the amount moved to the tax roll and the current outstanding balance as a result of this application of amounts owing to the municipality. This is with respect to the well keys, right?
There's only 7.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments on that? No. If not, all in favor?
Yes.
That's carried.
Did we skip 7.3?
No.
Oh, we did cover that?
Yep.
I must have been sleeping, I'm sorry. Didn't check it off.
There's 2 of them.
Moved by Councillor Pierpont, second by Councillor Balasha. Resolved that bylaw number 0082-20, being a bylaw of the Municipality of Swan Valley West for the purpose of levying taxes for the municipality's 2020 fiscal year, shall be introduced and read a first time this 12th day of May 2020. Comments, questions?
I have comments.
Go ahead.
So there's a couple things. I got the version I'm looking at came just after 6 o'clock, so I assume it's the same version everybody else has. In it, there's some inconsistency in the bylaw numbering. It indicates throughout it that it's bylaw 78, when it's really bylaw 8220. Also, an inconsistency under, how was this number? That's 1, 2, under controllable purposes, that's on page 2, going into page 3. The top of page 3 says the general at-large rate of 8.512 mils, but that specific paragraph applies it only to business roles, not to the at-large roles.
What's this one?
At large, not just a business tax. And then outside of the document itself, I have some concerns with our process. As far as I know, we haven't yet seen an approved local urban district service plan. Conversation with the local urban district about the proposed service plan that they've approved yet, and we really are supposed to do that before we get into passing this bylaw. So I wonder if we have a plan for that.
Perhaps you could speak to that, James?
Yeah, this is the service plan. Yeah.
Did you want to speak to that?
For the LUD?
Yeah.
The LUD has signed the service plan with the intent of having a resolution at their next meeting on May the 19th.
Respectfully though, that isn't actually within the permissible boundaries of the Act. That signature is invalid on the service plan that I've been given.
It was an agreement that we came up with, and we got it approved so that we're good to go ahead with it if the council so desires.
But do you have the resolution number of that agreement?
It will be passed at the next meeting, May 19th, and available at our next meeting on the 26th.
There is no passed and approved local urban district service plan, and the earliest there may be one is on the 19th. After the 19th, when there is one, we as a council are then required to meet with the local urban district to discuss their proposed plan. So it would seem premature tonight to be bringing a bylaw on the basis of a plan that's not yet approved.
Okay, if I can interject for a moment, it was my understanding, after speaking with the province, that because everything's being late here this year, the fact that the resolution was not, the LUD resolution was not passed by the committee, but they did agree, and that was an oversight at that meeting. The committee did agree that the LUD service plan was good to go. They approved it. The chair signed it. And as I understand it, they were asked again today if any of them had any concerns. They did not. Council is still within its right, as I understand it from the province, to be able to give the bylaw first reading tonight. The LUD committee will pass by resolution the service agreement, or the service plan, and then we'll move ahead from there. James and I attended by teleconference, and James was there, and the service plan was put together by the committee. Now, if council, we can review, the plan was to review it tonight, and if council doesn't like what it sees, then it's back to the drawing board. The committee basically had no problems with, as far as I know, with us presenting that plan on their behalf.
I certainly am aware of some of the committee members having issues with it. And my understanding was it wasn't even signed at a committee meeting. It was signed last night at a meeting with 2 members of the LUD, of which others weren't there.
Well, if Mr. Gade is right in this, and if he knows that there's one committee member that objects to this plan, that goes against what James and I heard at the meeting. Now, if there's been an objection since then, it has to be relayed to us, which it should have been. Having said that, I'm afraid I would have to say we'll have to delay the adoption of that plan. And if there's serious objections, I would go one step further, saying that we'll have to pull that bylaw's first reading tonight, based on what Mr. Gade has said. And we'll also have to find out, and I would like to know, after reaching an absolutely unanimous agreement with the committee at their last regular meeting, or at their last meeting, who it was that has decided that plan is no longer effective.
As far as I know, Mr. Webb should have had that conversation with someone today, so the knowledge should be with us of who's objecting.
Interesting. So on that note, Mr. Gade is standing his ground. I would have to say that if, as I said, if there's a member out there that is no longer willing to say that that service plan was in effect, then we'll have to pull the whole works until we get this thing resolved.
I certainly, the best light I can shed on it is that I have a written statement from a member saying they are going to ask for a recorded vote on the service plan and intend to vote against it.
So from the 4 members of the committee, it would be 3 for and 1 against. Is that what you're saying?
From what I gather, I have no idea. Like, this is the trouble of going ahead without a vote taken. We start assuming things. I would assume it would be a 3-1 vote at that point, but that's the trouble of assuming anything with a vote, right? Ideally, they would have passed it by resolution at their meeting, and this wouldn't be an issue.
Anyone else have anything to add? Okay, we will then table this. This is unfortunate. It is going to push back the readings on the budget, the hearing that is required, and clearly members of this council that are present here tonight are not going to be held responsible for that.
Well, Mr. Reed?
Go ahead.
What I would suggest is that we try and put together a special meeting of the LUD committee as soon as possible, followed by a special meeting of council as quickly as we can after that, and resolve this issue once and for all.
I think that's a good idea. Okay, we will table this until...
I wasn't sure.
Can we give first reading to this at a special meeting?
At the which meeting?
At a special meeting? If we call a special meeting after the LUD has met?
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. We'll have a special meeting for the LUD, followed by a special meeting of the council.
And can council at that special meeting then give first reading to this bylaw?
I don't see why not. The only thing we're not doing is we should still, tonight, I would suggest that James can go through the service plan as was agreed at the committee meeting, and answer any questions council may have on it. and then go from there.
Okay, we can review that right now then. Does everyone have a copy of?
Yeah.
Any questions on the plan itself?
I have a question about the recreation center.
Go ahead.
So I see in their plan, the budget for the Video Recreation Center insurance is $32,500, which would make me think that that is the cost of the insurance we're expecting for 2020. At the last meeting I was at, was given our insurance number was over $40,000. So I wanted to clarify first, is the insurance expected to be $32,500 or is it really the $41,000?
James can speak to that.
It's 41,000, and this is and then we decided at the last meeting that the total contribution would be 60,000 split between the municipality and the LUD. If you're referring to the few letters there, we can, if that's a minor detail.
Yeah, sorry, I missed just the last little bit there, Mr. Webb. I couldn't hear just the last sentence.
Oh, I just said, if you're referring to the last few letters in the title or the description, if that's what you're concerned about changing, is that? With the INS?
Oh, I wanted to straighten my mind if we were still at 41 or if it was 32.
It is 41, yes.
It wasn't, when I saw the 32.5, I thought maybe that was the insurance because it sort of said insurance. But then if it is really the 41, then I know that for sure.
The LED was responsible for insurance in the past, but we've changed the structure of the way we're paying for that.
The other concern I have about that, when you look at how that taxation turns out for the Video Recreation Center, I think obviously we have to pay the insurance, we have to have some additional money, so I don't know that we can change the overall total. But when we're looking at $32,500 to Benito and $30,000 to the basically the rural area, there's a huge discrepancy in the amount of money being paid for that. I saw some numbers from the LED committee here where they're suggesting that people in Benito, if it was, obviously we do it by assessment, so it's not completely accurate, but if you divided the number out by the number of residents in Benito, you're at around $100 a resident, whereas as soon as you jump across the street, you get a much, much lower total per resident. And I wonder if there's a more fair way for us to do this, because certainly I know I make use of the recreation center and I don't live in the LUD. And it troubles me greatly that my contribution to it would be 1/5 or less than someone that lives in the LUD. It seems like it's disproportionately taxing those people. It's really a service for our entire municipality.
Well, I disagree with that, Mr. Gade, because if you take the 1,000 people north of the ditch road that do not use that facility, we still contribute to it, but I don't think it's fair that you say that ours go way up to support that either.
I totally understand your point, Mr. Pierpont. However, I am for some reason contributing to the Bozeman Recreation Center, and I can assure you I don't make use of it either. So I don't think that's really it. I think it's about being fair.
Well, I mean, do you want to give Bozeman 30,000?
Well, I think we should give Bozeman what is a fair amount.
There's also obviously the Swan River arena that comes into play. If one tries hard enough, you can make numbers say anything. And obviously, the individual who has brought this forward has done just that.
I tend to agree, though, that the numbers do say something, and they say that if for some reason you live within the LUD boundaries, you're enjoying the rink 5 times more than someone that does not.
Well, I think when they were a village, their contribution as a percentage has not changed.
Well, when they were a village and had approximately the same number of people, their contribution was $10,000. Now their contribution is $32,500. So it appears to be a 325% increase from when they were a village.
That's not the fault of this municipality, Councillor Gade. You know that.
I'm not suggesting it is, but it's also
But you
not.
stated it like it was.
Yeah.
The rest of the municipality has not necessarily seen a similar type increase as what Benito
Well,
is
it's
seeing.
gone from 10 to 30 in the municipality as well.
Maybe there's a cost problem.
Well, maybe one of the LUD committee members who sells insurance could insure it for less.
Yes. In any case, I flag that as something that I see that isn't a great deal as far as fairness. I think I've spoken to her in the last couple of years too. The service plan that's written really isn't a service plan. It is a budget. And an LUD isn't to have a budget, it's to have a service plan. It shouldn't be showing things like tractors and mowers and sweepers. It should be showing things like a fee, an all-inclusive fee for garbage collection, which is a service the LUD wishes to have. It should show an all-inclusive fee for something like clearing sidewalks. But this seems to be certainly on the wrong track when I look at what I've seen provided from other LUDs and other municipalities. There are some large discrepancies in how we're doing this, and I certainly would urge us to look at doing it the way that the municipal handbook shows, which is not the way we have done it here. Well, certainly I have some uncomfortableness. I listened to an LUD meeting earlier this afternoon that was provided to us, to our ratepayers by us. And I find it hard to be part of a council that when we're asked, is it true that Swan Valley West, less about Benito than other municipalities care about their LUDs, and someone says, yes, it's true. I'm paraphrasing slightly, but that was what was said essentially. I find that we should be going back to the drawing board and making sure that we care as much as anyone else, because I think Benito's important and we should care about it.
I haven't heard anybody at this table say they don't, Mr. Gade.
I suspect you should listen to the tape from the LUD meeting and listen to who said they do, that we don't. It's very clear on the tape.
Because in my speaking with municipal affairs, all the numbers in this service plan are within the boundaries of what they should pay for.
Yeah, that may be what you've heard from municipal affairs, and they have been wrong in the past. This does not follow the guidelines from the municipal procedures book, nor does it follow what other LUDs do. An LUD service plan is to set out the services that are provided in the local urban district.
Yes.
A mower is not a service.
It
Grass
is.
cutting is. And I know that we often disagree on this, but I look even within our own budget, I look at them having a perfectly good mower in Benito that they don't own. And we should be using for our own purposes as well, mowing a little bit of their grass and then using that mower for the rest of the municipality. Because an LUD does not own equipment.
They still need the use of it.
They need the use of it, but they don't need a full-time mower. We essentially have an opportunity here. There's a tractor and a mower and a bunch of other equipment that can and should be used throughout the entire municipality because we all own it. And they should pay their share of what's used for them. But we could have some great advantages here if we all work together and we're fair to everyone.
I think probably what would show how fair we are or are not would be to look back at some tax bills. Now, I have asked,
I'd see act. It would be good if we didn't do that this time.
you would think it wouldn't be good.
I say it would be good if we did not break the Privacy Act.
Nobody broke a Privacy Act, Councillor Gade.
Actually, I assure you, you did.
Well, then if you are so certain of it, why don't you take action?
Because, sir, I respect you as a reeve and didn't feel the need.
Yes, I understand that you do, especially when I am told and read for myself things that you say on Facebook as well as broadcast over your radio station, how much you respect me, Councillor Reed, or Councillor Gade.
But we
So, don't try to give in misinformation when all of council is here and when we're being videotaped.
So what was
Because then the
misinformation,
world
Mr.
will
Reed?
see, the world will see the kind of
It was
tactics.
misinformation. I'd appreciate that.
Pardon?
If you could tell me what was misinformation, I would appreciate that.
You stating that I broke the Privacy Act.
So here's how you did it, in case you're interested. You, at a public meeting, retrieved the tax notice for Brad Kushniryk and read from it aloud at a public meeting without written permission or any permission from the ratepayer to do that. And it is against the Privacy Act for you to access the tax statement of any ratepayer without their permission. And it is especially against the Privacy Act for you to share that tax statement with the public without their permission. So in both cases, you broke the Privacy Act.
Now, if you were a truthful individual, Mr.
I am a truthful individual. Thank you for
No,
reminding me. I am.
I can quote you where you in fact say that you are not. But I asked Councillor or Committee Member Kushniryk, as well as one other member of the LUD Committee, to come and sit beside me, and they did, and we discussed it amongst the three of us. It was not
It was also discussed at a public meeting.
No, it was not.
It was. I was present.
Well,
You weren't in the conversation.
I was at a public hearing with a bunch of people in a room, and it was read aloud,
No, it wasn't.
discussed in public.
It was not discussed out loud. It was after the meeting, at a table on the side with the three of them, because in case you don't recall, we were there too.
So you're telling us that that was not a public hearing that we were in the middle of?
It was after the meeting, yes.
It was during the meeting, yes.
well, Mr. Gade, I think if anybody pays attention to your tirades either on radio or on Facebook, they are all very certain now when you uttered the words, I
Don't always.
don't always lie. Now, I guess the question is then left, how much of the time do you lie? And that would depend on who you are talking about. Because I can assure you, when you come to discuss myself, it's probably at least a third of the time that you misrepresent. At any rate.
Anyway, what would be fair would be to follow the rules for having an LUD, perhaps get out the procedure manual that tells us how to deal with an LUD, and treat all members of our municipality fairly. Because I tend to believe that if we asked each and every taxpayer in our municipality, do you want us to treat not only the residents of Benito fairly, but also the residents of the entire municipality fairly, no matter the cost, but do it fairly, the vast majority would say, we are honest people, we want it done fairly.
So why are you trying to offload from the LUD onto the rest of the municipality then?
I am trying to be fair both to the LUD and the municipality.
In your opinion.
Opinion of the municipal handbook, in the opinion of other municipalities with LUDs, and in the opinion of our municipal staff, yes.
But not with municipal affairs or the province, which I have spoken to that say that what is in this plan is 100% accurate.
You know, that's a very loaded thing. If you write down a number on a page and say the number is 2, and the number actually written on the page is 2, you can say that is entirely accurate. It does not mean it is fair, right, or correct. But it is accurate. The number on the page is 2.
Anyone else have a comment or a question with respect to the service plan? Not, then it sounds like we are prepared to accept it as it is.
Mr. Reed, if I could interject for a moment.
Yep.
before we move on, I did suggest at that meeting that we're at that the committee members, they had done a great deal of background work into other LUDs across the province. And I can't remember my exact words, but my comments were similar to, okay, you guys have got all this work done. James and I can't do nothing, but you'll have to, if you feel strongly about this, you'll have to meet with council and discuss this in the future. And we'll see where it goes from there. So you may have some ideas to run by council, explaining their plight. And it will be up to council and themselves to decide where the future of Benito lies. So that those, as I said, they'll have to request a meeting with council and sit down and meet with you folks. And we'll have to see if that meeting comes off or not. But if they have these ideas, they've obviously shared, or he's got them on his own time, Mr. Gade. They've obviously shared some of their concerns with him. So I think that meeting would be of paramount importance to help and try and move this thing ahead in the future. That's all I have to say on that one.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further questions, we can return to our agenda. Item 7.6, Swan Valley Business Consortium.
Just that.
Just information.
Yeah.
They all have it.
Yeah.
So that's for your information. You all have a copy of that. 7.7, Swan Valley Fire Department, April 2020 incident report.
It's just a report.
Grass fires. Yeah.
2 grass fires.
Yep.
I was curious on that if we checked the permit status for those. I guess just the one it would apply to, not the other one.
Which one?
The one said it was an old fire relit. I don't know if that would count or not, but certainly the one that was a purposely lit grass fire, as long as there was a permit, it's good, but there needed to be a permit.
Do you know if they were permitted?
No,
No, you don't know.
I don't
or
know.
nobody will?
No, I don't know, because like everything that we have, we sent in, so.
I guess where I'm going, just what our bylaw provides for is, as long as they called in and had a burning permit, if the fire got away, that's unfortunate, and we're glad to go there and fight it for them. But if they did not have a permit, there is a billable portion.
Yeah.
While we're on this topic, we may as well jump ahead and cover actually 9.1, which is a burning ban. I know that council had given me authority to put a burning ban in place. However, I prefer to have all members of council contribute to that discussion. We have gone quite a long time without any moisture since the last snow, and it is very dry out there.
I don't know what it is.
What are your thoughts?
It's pretty dry right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm sure as soon as we put a ban on it, it'll probably rain tomorrow, but
Yeah.
it's supposed to
Rain
rain.
would be a good way to, might be a good way to get it to
To
rain.
get some moisture out of the deal, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right, it is very dry out there, like I've been out with the kids a few times on the bikes and it's dry.
Yeah. Just scared to, you know, even have a wheater roast or something.
Anyone against having a burning ban?
I was just going to add, I was at a fire scene grass fire caused by a cigarette. And two of us worked as hard as we could to try and put that out when it was only a few square feet big. And it was so dry that even with two of us with buckets of water, it couldn't be done. So I think it's time for burning ban.
Okay, there's no disagreement then. Do we need a resolution to that effect?
I just have that one. But you want a total one, eh?
Wildfire prevention measures. I think we had a simpler resolution last time that actually said that a burning ban would come into effect effective immediately or whatever.
Until further notice.
Yeah. The ones that have permits, we better let them know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will have to be contacted.
Yeah. It should be enough somewhere too.
Resolved that Municipality of Swan Valley West is now issuing a burning ban until further notice.
Yeah. Moved by Councillor Wills, second by Councillor Pierpont, resolved that the Municipality of Swan Valley West do now issue a burning ban until further notice. All in favor?
Yes.
That's carried. Okay, 7.8, A&M June District Meeting, by a conference call. Date to be announced.
For council's information on this is June the 16th at 10 a.m. It's going to be and I aired when I put down a teleconference call, it's going to be a virtual meeting to be held on Zoom. So we'll have to get that set up. Now, the pre-registration deadline for the meeting is June 11th. So we'd like to hear from everybody prior to that date as to who will attend. It may be that, I'm not sure exactly how this Zoom works, but you may have to come into the municipal office.
Yeah.
Resolutions, there'll be no resolutions debated during the 2020 June District meetings. Instead, the MM has extended that deadline for submitting resolutions to August 1st, 2020. Yet in the fall, all resolutions will be reviewed by the Resolutions Committee, and only Category 1 resolutions will proceed to the annual AMM convention for debate. As always, if your municipality is facing any issue, your council is encouraged to submit an official letter to the AMM Board of Directors outlining your concerns. And they say in closing that this option may potentially result in your municipal issue being resolved prior to the annual convention. So if whoever wants to attend, if you could get back to us in advance of June 11th, and then we'll get this Zoom put into place, hopefully. And there'll be a meeting address link for that provided to us 5 days prior to the meeting, so it'll be hooked up well in advance.
The question, if I could.
Go ahead.
I'm curious the will of council, because I know at times you guys don't want me to be attending anything AMM council's dime, what's your feeling about this one for me?
I guess you've attended meetings here before, Bill. The meeting will be held in Swan, it's not.
I paid for it, so my question is, are you willing to let me submit the hours for attending the meeting or not?
Getting nods.
Yeah.
Everyone is feeling charitable.
Very good, thank you.
I don't charge for Zoom meetings.
We'll send out, we'll try and remember to send out one reminder, but if you just make a note of it tonight, then we have to hear from you prior to June 11th. Again, you'll be tied up from whatever your traveling time is. The meeting starts at 10 and it should be over at noon.
Okay, no further questions on that?
Well, we could do it here, hey?
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 8, financial items. Moved by Councillor Balasha, second by Councillor Pierpont. Resolved that the Council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West does hereby approve the following payments. General checks number 16038 to 16074 in the amount of $94,294.59. Seen the list of checks. Any questions or comments on that?
You have a question about a check?
Go ahead, what number?
16048 to DD West LLP for legal fees. Where that we have retained for general municipal legal matters. So I'm wondering what we spent $2,620.80 on.
I don't have the breakdown of the invoice in front of me. Procedure?
Why would we be using a lawyer that isn't our retained lawyer? So we do have a lawyer, a law firm on retainer, but it's just not this law firm.
I don't know whether the one that we retain has relevant experience in that regard.
So would it be fair to say it's just advice to council on procedure then, or what would we call that?
That's what I'm seeing, finance nodding.
You have the things to the side there, Donna.
Anyone else have any questions?
Oh,
If not, all in favor?
Yes?
That's carried. Moved by Councillor Foster, second by Councillor Wills, resolved that the Council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West does hereby approve the following payments. Payroll checks number 3093 to 3105 in the amount of $15,732.02. Questions or comments there? If not, all in favor?
Yes.
That's carried. Moved by Councillor Kushniryk, second by Councillor Foster. Resolved that Council for the Municipality of Swan Valley West is hereby approved the following payments. Indemnities, the amount of $9,041.25. Any questions there? If not, all in favor? All in favor?
Yes?
That is carried. Okay, number 9.1 we have dealt with. 9.1 indeed, was that one that you...
that's this one.
That was just.
You all have a copy of the crop residue burning recommendations? Okay, it's for any questions or comments on it? Okay, 9.2, Terry's Greenhouse. You all got a letter from the individual? Any comments, questions on that? I think this has been handled probably many different ways over the last number of years.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because there should be a policy, the policy should be stuck to, and not side deals made with individual councillors or whatever. Apparently that is what happened in the past. So how do we want to go forward with this?
Well, I think what he's been putting down is very extreme. It's a half a mile. It's 2,800 yards.
Or feet.
Or feet, sorry,
Yeah.
feet. It is his property where they go in, 500 feet is more than adequate, I feel.
Yeah.
After that it's his own. What he's trying to do is protect his, I believe, market garden to the west. That's why he's putting the extra on there. It has nothing to do, there was no access in and out of there. There's only one access. It's no different than any other place.
So he has strawberries or something.
He has strawberries and potatoes and that, I believe, past the yard in the field. And he's been calciuming in front of there, but that is not an issue
Safety issue.
to get in and out. There's only one entrance in and out, to my knowledge.
Well, I did read that the dust they find follows, I guess, and especially if there's a west wind, it would carry behind the vehicle.
It will
further.
carry. There's trees around the yard, but not on that part. And before, I believe, the agreement that he had with Brian previous was 1,000 feet for 500. Brian had given him an extra 500 feet in that allowance, but this is like 3 times the allowance.
Really? Yeah.
Anyone else have any comments or questions?
I have comments.
Go ahead.
So I read this letter from the greenhouse from Mrs. McClure. I had an opportunity to speak with her last week as well about the letter. She sent a copy to me. It was on the 7th. Yeah, I talked to her, I think, on the Saturday. I spoke to her for a few minutes about it. I have to admit, nowhere in the letter, nor in that conversation, nor any conversation I've had with her or her husband, has the concept of trying to protect strawberries or a market garden from dust come up. The concern has been and has always been, every time I have spoken about this, and certainly is reiterated in the letter, is a safety issue. I find it reprehensible that we would put words in our ratepayers' mouths when they've gone to the trouble of writing us a very nice, well-thought-out letter that details their time at the greenhouse from 2014 onwards, what's happened. Again, we seem to be accusing Mr. Burek of having made a side deal, although I noticed that the reeve at the time was there, so I would hardly call that a side deal when the reeve was present for whatever went on.
And do you know that to be true, Mr. Gade?
Sorry, I'm still on the floor, but I'll listen to you there in a moment. My suggestion would be that time is of the essence this year. We don't have a lot of opportunity to think about this for a few weeks because it's time to apply calcium. I would like to see us apply it as they recommend to make sure that it's safe. And then I think it's fair to say that all of council won't be in favor of that. I think we should undertake some sort of study, and I would look to Mr. Jenkins if he has experience. If there's I certainly don't want to spend $1,000 on a study, but is there a way for $100 that we could have someone look at that and determine what is actually required for safety as compared to other possible reasons or motives, so that we can be confident that what we do in the future is the minimum requirement for safety? I think somebody there has a question.
Yeah, I have a comment. I don't know the yard site at all, so I'm speaking blind here, but this is just what I heard. But I understand that parking within his yard is tight, that's not our issue at all. But when you're coming out of the yard, apparently he has trees lined up on either side. It's a very nice entranceway. And there may, speaking of safety here, there may be an issue with a couple of those trees as you enter onto the municipal roadway line of sight. So that could be a safety issue. I'm throwing that out. On top of it is the issue of dust control. If there is an issue with the sight lines, with those trees, and they're on probably private property, as part of the resolution of this problem, should he be requested to remove a couple of trees for safety's sake? And thirdly, I'm not sure who we could get to conduct a study other than our own lead hand, Donna. I can't speak for Don, but if there's a huge amount of dust, is it a concern for safety? And if it is, how much? And as Mr. Gade said, we have to try and apply the minimum amount required to make it safe. Throw that out for council's consideration, but this appears to be an issue that comes back pretty much every year, and it causes a great deal of confusion for staff when they got a policy for the rest of the municipality that fits situations. What we don't have here is a policy for this particular situation. And if they keep coming back every year, it's not fair to them or to council or to staff. We should be able to find, it's an issue of dust control or dust abatement. What is the minimum we have to do if indeed it is a safety issue? And I can't speak to that because I don't know the situation that well, but it's got to be resolved. There's got to be a way to fix this.
Like half a mile of dust control is a lot of dust.
That's a safety concern in itself.
Yeah.
Because when you put calcium down, it can only be graded when it's wet. If it doesn't rain for a month and a half, that gets really rough.
And it's really rocky there.
Yeah.
And Mr. Gade, I am not accusing anybody of anything. That is a conversation that him and myself had last year after he had to pay extra, was the reason he was putting it there was to protect his market garden. I'm not accusing anybody of anything.
And as far as you suggesting that I was there, they didn't buy the property until 2014.
I'm suggesting the Reeve was there, not you, sir. It was a different Reeve at the time. I believe it was Mr. Skelton was there.
Well, you should make that very clear then, because people hearing this or listening to it and viewing it.
Well, certainly my apologies. That wasn't my intention. I intended to indicate that Mr. Burek, Mr. Skelton, the Reeve, Mr. Minish, and Mr. Bobbitt were there when the discussion was had.
That's what she has written in the letter. That is correct. So what are we suggesting we should be doing to alleviate this problem? I'm not sure. Again, I can't speak for Mr. Bobbitt, but I'm not sure that I would want to be the one, if I were he, making a judgment call on something being safe or unsafe when you have no control over the situation.
Yeah, that's my concern as well, Mr. Reeve. I mentioned his name because he's probably quite familiar with the area and whatnot, but I also said that I'm not so sure he'd be the guy to do it, and that's one of the good reasons why.
Yeah, like a consultant of some sort obviously would have insurance in the event of him making an error in judgment, whereas Mr. Bobick would not have that type of insurance.
Right.
And those trees, I believe, are on his property, but they do, now that they're mature trees, they do hang over onto the ditch a little bit, making the site coming out of there an issue. That is definite.
Somebody got construction going on the phone there?
That's what I said.
probably
It sounds like a
Ken.
hammer.
Somebody sawing?
I think it is a dog though.
No? Okay. Could you hear it?
Yeah,
I can hear it, but I'm muted still not. It's still there.
that's not me, that's my good wife.
Oh. We didn't mean to bring her into it, Ken, sorry.
No, that's okay. Doing reconstruction work in our kitchen. So, go ahead. It's great anyway.
So because it is a haul road, they are getting 500 feet?
Well, they were previously getting, what he told me was they were getting 1,000 feet for $500. The discussion I had, he told me that if it was 10 or 20 feet over the 1,000, he had no problem paying for it. Donnie GPS'd it, it's 2,800 feet.
Wow.
I remember this happening last year, and I remember
That's a
Don
full
pointing
half
out.
mile.
That's a full half mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And the yard is treed. There's probably, 1,000 feet would probably cover outside the trees on both sides. You'd have to measure, but
Well, it's prevailing west wind here, so if the wind is out of the east, good chance there's rain with it. So if it were me, just off the top, I would shift that more to the west than equal.
well, it is. It goes from Spruce Products corner, the back road from Spruce Products. He puts it from that corner all the way across to the railway tracks.
Yeah, no, I'm talking though a standard
Yeah.
application.
But it's more to the west than the east on there. That is for sure.
This is what they did last year.
And the only thing, I guess, is I don't know if anybody can make that judgment as to, all I know is Donnie phoned me and said, like, he told me before he went out there that it was extreme. As far as it being over close to 1,000, it was more.
Nothing was too good.
And we'll have to check the trees and that, see if there can be a solution,
Paid
but
twice.
They paid twice. Okay, so last year they paid 1150 in total.
yes. And Mr. Gade made the point of saying that that was not the way to do it, so that's why it was brought to council last year.
I'm just curious, what did they get for that $700 last year? Did they get the 1,000 feet or did they get the 2,600?
They got 2,800 feet last year for 1150.
Wow.
1,150, okay.
Because they had the agreement before apparently with Brian for 1,000 feet for 500. So I did the same thing again and charged them I charged them only for 2,500 feet, basically at half price. Because I didn't want to put the whole cost, which should have been over 2,000, on them on the spot without informing them.
Yeah, it was 1380 the cost, they were charged 690.
Total.
Total.
No.
No.
That was.
No, that was
Yeah.
for the extra,
Yeah,
the extra 1,500 feet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they paid half of the extra.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious about, if this is the only incident though, I mean, we've got another greenhouse out by Benito. And I'm concerned that we're setting a precedent by giving this person or this situation special preference, where that one has asked for virtually nothing and is getting nothing. So by giving this individual 1,000 feet or 2,800 feet at half price, there should we be giving the same thing to, or offering the same thing to the greenhouse in Benito? And then I'm also concerned, what do we do with, say, Pioneer, that road there? How does that, what kind of rates are we giving for them? Because these are businesses, I get it.
We'll get to that one later.
Well, okay, perhaps, I'm just kind of trying to group them together and say this is a business and
Well,
that's a business.
You're right, you set a precedent, then they're all, like, there's
Then everybody's a home business.
about 5, right?
So-
Because you have Pioneer, you have Terry's Greenhouse, you have now Co-op Agro. I don't know if there's anything else out Benito way
Yeah,
that,
that Quap Agro.
Quap Agro,
You like
Benito,
that
the
one there?
nutrient one there, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad one there too, like, I mean,
That's
like, yeah,
Co-op Agro have committed to pay.
to
though.
pay, yeah. Pioneer's committed to pay.
Yeah, Pioneer.
Although I understand they're larger businesses than the greenhouse, but how do you, like Tyler said, it's setting a precedent
Yeah.
for,
The issue is that one is a haul road as well. It's a designated haul road. And you're talking,
Lynn's greenhouse is a
Oh,
whole.
Lynn's greenhouse.
Yeah.
is a haul road, but not quite
She
as
doesn't-
busy as
she
this.
doesn't put in.
Yeah, I don't
probably
But she
not,
has put calcium.
But,
it's pretty busy,
yeah, she
that,
puts down the regular 500 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a busy road, that is, too.
It's pretty dusty today.
There's 3 gravel pits right
They're
there.
hauling it today.
Well, it's dusty everywhere.
But,
Yeah.
but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
No, we want to, yeah.
I just think it'd be nice to put a standard out there and say, oh, we're paying half up to 500 feet or half up to 1,000 feet or something, but if we do it for this one, we should do it for that one.
Yeah.
And then maybe take any more requests kind of on a case-by-case sort of basis, but
I think
don't
we're
wanna
gonna,
make it a
we're gonna open
a
up a
free-for-all
whole can of
and
worms. Yeah,
Well, it's gotta be capped.
I know, yeah.
If they want more.
everybody's phoning in asking for a half.
Did he,
half price.
did he say exactly how much he was looking for, Mr. Gade?
I didn't talk to Marie about it, I talked to Betty.
Okay.
And she asked if I'd read the letter, and I said I had. So we didn't discuss any different amount than what she had indicated in the letter, but I wonder if 1,000 feet wouldn't be more appropriate with the addition of a speed limit there. Because certainly if trucks were going slower, the dust wouldn't carry as far, and there would be much less need for dust control.
Yes.
And speed limits are cheaper, much cheaper.
Well, and it is a busy place, and to say because of his trees, it does, visibility there is you pretty much have to be nosed out on the road to see. So reduce, I mean, not that a lot of them would follow a reduced speed, but I feel 1,000 feet would cover his yard at least. And give people time to see trucks coming, that's 500 feet either way.
Yeah.
Well, the speed zone, you could even go from that stop sign or that intersection from the west side. to
From the tracks
from the
there.
tracks, yeah. Like, I mean, those are pretty natural.
Replace the calcium with speed signs and try to slow it down.
Yeah, it's worth a shot.
So what's the consensus then? You wanna pay half of 1,000 feet?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what was there before. I'm not gonna change what council decided before. The only issue we had was that it wasn't 1,000 feet, it was almost 3,000 feet. That was,
Yeah, we can't go that far.
we can't give away 2,000
No,
feet
no.
of calcium.
No,
Any objection to that?
So can we say for Lynn's greenhouse road, we would pay half of her if she?
Well, if it's offered to one, as was
Yeah.
suggested, it should be offered to the other.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think they currently get half of the 500 feet paid now.
I don't know if they do, Donna could look that up.
They
I
should.
think she did.
Or, yeah,
They did?
that way.
They should if it's on a haul road. It's automatic. It's supposed to be.
Let's look it up, just,
Pay that.
If we could just talk about Lynn's for 2 seconds, see how it came up. They had a request to me to look at putting in some slow for children signs there. We talked about it previously. That wasn't really something council was wanting to cover. And I have to admit I was feeling pretty strongly about it, so I was thinking of paying for the signs myself. But I'm curious if we're looking at doing a speed zone at Terry's greenhouse, if we could look at doing, not necessarily the speed zone, but at least the requested slow children playing signs for that area.
I thought they had signs
I
there.
think she actually put up her own sign, but I also thought there was a bus sign there as well, but we could look into that.
Would the speed sign work better than a children playing sign?
Well, you know, I think it would be preferable to put a speed sign because it would be enforceable if anything ever happened.
Yes.
And certainly that road by Lynn's, if you go onto the Saskatchewan side, there is a speed zone there. It just ends at the border, essentially. So it would be really just continuing an existing speed zone from the Saskatchewan side.
What's the speed limit there?
60,
I think it's 80, isn't it?
kilometers, I
Is it
think.
60?
60, I think.
Is it
60 there?
60 by the yards there, yeah.
Oh,
Anything
like
over
by
10.
Grandy,
Oh.
Gale's place.
Anything over 10.
If I can interject for a moment, the speed zone signs are okay. Not very often they can be enforced. However, they are there, and if somebody is speeding there and there's an accident, the RCMP can prove that that person was speeding through their traffic analysis, then you've got something to go on. Children playing, usually we try to stay away from that.
Yeah.
A person wants to try, if an individual wants to put that sign up, go ahead. But for a municipality to become involved in that, then it's going to become almost unwieldy. If you look at, okay, I got it, if he got it, why can't I have it? I have little children, I have grandchildren.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked which would carry more weight, because a children playing sign in every yard's gonna want one where if the speed sign's up at least, then with GPSs and everything now, yeah, they can figure out the speed and hold them accountable more than a play sign would do.
Everything we'd have to follow up on, I'm not sure if the municipality, I have to think you likely do, but I'm not sure, is if you have a traffic control bylaw, or traffic bylaw, you have to ensure that those numbers are put in.
Just so you know, Ken, at the moment, we do not have a speed bylaw.
I was gonna say, you're in luck because we need to make one, so.
Oh, okay. Then that would have to be looked at, if it is indeed, God forbid, worst happen, that would be something that the courts would look at as, okay, you have the sign there, where's the bylaw authorizing the placement of the sign? If it wasn't there, then chances are you'd lose. So it's just a follow-up administration detail.
Would make more sense in my mind to have speed limit.
Speed signs, yep.
Well, there's a consensus on that then. We will ask Ken to pull out the existing bylaw if we have, and if not, author a new one.
Yeah, we have to make a new one.
Okay?
Do we want to do, are we doing a resolution for this one then, for now?
Do we want to set the policy
I
then?
think we should set a precedent that it's in writing and those places can be given a copy stating that this is what they're entitled to, and then it doesn't come back every year. Or if council changes it, it comes back, it's already.
How do you want to say this then? Say everybody's to pay for half or 500 feet. You want to say?
Up to a
up to
Used to
1,000
pay-
feet. Yeah, that's where it's capped.
Yeah.
Up
Pay
to
for it.
Because otherwise,
half of.
If they wanted the 2,800 feet, they're on their own after 1,000.
Yeah.
Like,
because 1,000 feet's a long ways.
yeah, we'll pay you half for the 1,000, but
Yeah.
Pay for
So
one
pay
half.
for-
I thought
One
that
half
was
the
fine,
price.
but when Donna
Yeah.
phoned me
Or
and said
do
it's
one
like
just be 500?
2,877 feet or
$500.
2,780
Or 500
feet.
Mhm.
No,
That's fair, our trucks are going
Oh,
by.
We'll pay one half.
Oh,
the
well,
price.
that's,
Unless it's on the whole road, you know, like do whole.
But like Brown says, if you put more out,
Because
it's-
otherwise we're gonna be,
that's not an issue, too. I know about it.
You know about it too? do you?
Yeah, well, I heard all about it.
Yeah.
I said, gee, that's so good things done.
Dust control, put it.
Sit down there, Sean. Sit down there, Sherman. Sit down there.
Yeah.
Except he wants to speed
To
limit sign
1,000 feet.
his house all the way past the bridge.
I think I know what you're
To
talking
businesses located on.
Tidbit for council's information.
I think it should be.
From where I live, I have to tell you that I commend you for having a dust control program for your rural residents. And like the policy you have, excuse me, on the haul roads, I happen to live on a haul road, and our municipality provides no dust control at all for anybody,
well,
Next speed sign.
haul road or not, doesn't exist. So if you get one ratepayer that wants dust control, it's up to him to try and track down a dust control company that will come out here and do the job for him. So it doesn't happen that often.
So you find an old cultivator.
Your municipality,
Okay, this says resolved that the council of the municipality of Swan Valley West agrees to pay for one half of the cost of dust control for up to 1,000 feet to businesses located on haul roads. Speed signs shall also be installed. We have a mover for that?
I'll move it.
Councillor Pierpont, seconded by Councillor Balasha. Any more comments or questions? If not, all in favor?
yes.
That's good.
It's good for us too.
Like I said, if something's not clear, bring it up and we'll make it
I'm
clear.
happy.
Okay, engineering services, waste disposal. That's for the grounds in Bonito. And is for engineering only. Not for any land clearing or shaping.
So we're clear now to proceed to dig? Not yet?
No.
Still have to get through this yet?
Have to have the engineering, do a design on it.
Tell us how and where.
Pardon?
To tell us how and where.
The lump sum fee is $26,360.
I thought we'd been through this one already.
And we did soil sampling on it.
Yeah.
So you can bet that if the rest of that property is cleared of trees, and if there's any amount of shaping that's required at all, you could be looking close to 100K.
Yeah.
Does this,
And just 6 years ago, this wouldn't have been our
I
concern.
know, because it was all done, right?
No.
But nothing's down. Does this get paid for out of the utilities? No? Okay, well, I'm just,
No, it does not.
okay, no, well, I'm just,
So it's obviously something that has to be addressed with the other utility
Yep.
as well.
It's good to ask. Good to know.
Are we looking for a go-ahead on this then tonight, Ken? Is this the only quote that came in?
As far as, yeah, that's all I received, Mr. Reeve, and I'm not sure if you guys want to take a better look at it, or you give your approval, or this is something that obviously was put into work long before I appeared on the scene, so I really can't give you a recommendation if these are the guys you want to go with. Fine, but I don't know if there was a tender process followed.
Cheryl would have been the one
I
that
thought we put it out to,
advertised.
yeah.
Was it stamped or no? Was it different?
I thought Cheryl had contacted two and only one got back to us.
Perhaps there could be a bit more research done on that then, Donna, if you would, to find out if more than this firm responded, first off, and secondly, if more than this firm was contacted originally. But we should move forward with it as quickly as we can. As soon as we determine, I guess we could either deal with this at the special meeting that we're going to have, or at very least the next regular one, so that we can
Get the ball rolling.
get the ball rolling and get a pit dug before winter.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you could follow up.
Yeah.
Keep Ken in the loop.
Okay. That's your call.
Oh, okay, as some of you may be aware, we have issues with some properties, unsightly properties. We do not have a bylaw enforcement officer in that regard. So the office did a search and they couldn't come up with anything that we had with respect to job description. So they put something together here for your perusal. You have a copy of this as well, Councillor Gade?
I'm looking, but I don't think I do.
Deborah would have sent it to you from planning.
I have everything from you, Donna, and I have an email from James, but that was all I had, was from, I didn't have anything from planning.
Send that to me right away.
Can you?
And scan it and send it.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll scan it and send it to you.
I just see there's an email here that I haven't opened yet, in the other email. Let me go see, maybe they sent it to my municipality address.
Yes, that's where it probably was.
Yes, I do have one.
Got it.
Okay. They looked at other local municipalities' job descriptions and kind of used that as a template to draft one for the RM.
Well, and that deals with unsightly properties, et cetera.
Yeah.
There is another option available, one that the municipality in which I live in uses. They actually have the Canadian Corps of Commissioners. And it works very well for them because the way some of the provincial laws going now, these guys can handle a wide range of complaints. They're designated peace officers. To give an example of the frustration with unsightly properties, we have a small hamlet. They had one resident who liked to collect old car parts, old tractor parts, that type of thing. He had a house. It took 2 years of court action before they finally got an order in the cleanup. And it was the Canadian Court of Commissioners that attended the site and whatnot. One of the main reasons being that the property was dangerous for protective services to attend to. Unfortunately, before he got the entire place cleaned up, his house burnt to the ground. And one of the problems was the fire department couldn't get to the house to do a better job. So it is a frustrating event. It's very frustrating for the neighbors. It's frustrating the council. And unfortunately, if it does go to court, if the fellow refuses to comply and it ends up in court, it's a long, drawn out process most of the time.
Okay, does anyone have any suggestions to improve this document?
Speak in favor of what Mr. Jenkins is saying for commissionaires. There's a neighboring municipality using them. As far as I know, Campsack has them now, and it's been working very well there. Part of the benefit of it is that it's, in that case, it's Phil DeVos that's doing it. He's out of Yorkton and works for commissionaires, so there's no connection between him and anyone that he's enforcing a bylaw upon, which sometimes is a very good merit for a position like this, to have someone from out of town that comes in and enforces exactly what the bylaw says without any other considerations.
Yes, that's, you're never, in most cases, dealing with people that are gonna be happy when you go to them. So the outside influence would be the better way to go.
I'd like to see us at least get a quote from them so we know if it's doable or not.
You mean having service out of Yorkton?
I know for sure they have service out of Yorkton. I don't know if they also have out of Dauphin, but for sure they have out of Yorkton.
Yeah, it'd be 100-mile travel
Yeah.
each way.
If it goes on property, it doesn't go on us.
You might have a hard time
Well-
with that.
Yeah.
You might have a hard time getting them to clean it up too, but I mean,
So what about these scrub guys that are just, how do you make that?
they've been trying for a long time.
Yeah.
Just stay out of my yard.
I was gonna say.
No, I'm just mine too.
I'm treading lightly on that one.
Yeah, no, I'm
Is
just
this
saying.
is this a position that we could share with the town too? Like, would they?
They apparently are combining, or trying to combine 2 or 3 different things into one there.
Yeah.
Handyman driver, by law enforcement officer.
Really?
And some other position, so
Yeah.
in an effort to try to have it as a full-time position.
Well, your bylaw enforcement officer needs to have some sort of training in security or something. You can't just take a retired, as the town's had for years, retired teachers and that are driving handy vans doing
Right.
basically law enforcement, like,
That's what I was told, that they're trying to combine 3 positions to make it a full-time position.
you know.
And they're looking for someone.
Yeah.
It's not someone that's currently employed.
No, they had a bylaw enforcement officer, he quit.
Yeah. Our building inspector may be interested. He said, do up a
Job description.
job description and
Well, that's,
He
yeah.
might have the right attitude to do it, like the right,
Yeah.
he'd be the right person to do it,
Yeah.
you know?
that's not to say that he would accept it.
Yeah, well, I
No,
think
no,
we
it's
need to
not.
get,
But-
I think we need to get outside quotes and see if, what the cost would be at least.
At any rate, if there's nothing further to add to it, I guess we can always add later. Something that should be put on probably the next agenda to make a decision on as far as doing some research. Or maybe doing some interior, just finding what the cost might be.
Oh yeah, see my notes.
Okay, 9.5, we will deal with later. Correspondence, 10.1, CN. This is notification of vegetation control. Some more for information than anything.
One quick comment while we're discussing CN. In the last 2 days, they've replaced grade crossings throughout wards. 3, I think they're to Ward 2 a little bit there as well. They've done a very good job on it. Those crossings are much better now.
That's where all those are going right now.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of work to do.
My crossings were all blocked for 2 days. It was a long trip taking supper.
Like the
I was out there for 16.
Okay, nothing further on there, then we'll move on 10.2. A&M Parkland District, or Director's Update. Again, that is for your information. Questions or comments on that? All right, we'll move on 10.3, Swan Lake Watershed District Meeting, minutes for April 15th, 2020. Any question on those? Huh? Unfinished business, fire department radios. Have we found out what is required there now? And who's paying for what?
I believe we have. Province, this started as an initiative from the province, so they're replacing all of their, what they have for systems to upgrade complete net. All of the municipal fire departments have to switch over. And MTS has the contract, I guess you, for want of a better word, contract arrangement, whatever, with the province that supply radios. Those radios are Motorola, and they've given each fire department a pretty decent looking incentive program, whereby the province will end up paying for all the ongoing operating costs, not repairs and maintenance of the radios, but operating costs. And there really is, at this point in time, with MTS Bell MTS being in the lead, they have chosen Motorola, and that's pretty much the only game in town. So the resolution reflects the actual cost of the radio, but none of the operating costs, none of the hookup costs, all of that is being absorbed. And the radios are being sold at a cheaper rate than they would on the open market, if you will.
Okay, how many units?
5.
5 units?
You know, let me, James, is that, do you remember, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, there we go, 5.
There was some talk last meeting that,
2.
that we only needed 2 or 3.
Oh my. I'm not sure why that would be, but skipping on communications in the event of an emergency can really get dicey.
Just if I can comment here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I completely agree we should not excessive. The minimum number of radios required for our department is 2. Certainly I could be talked into 3, so we have a spare radio, but there certainly is no operational requirement for 5 units. These radios are used only to respond to 911 calls when they originate. So when you call 911 in Brandon, the first thing that happens is they page all of our firefighters on a VHF paging system. That system is not being changed out. It will be exactly the same as it's always been. They all receive that page simultaneously to go to the hall. One firefighter, only one, needs to respond to 911 and indicate that the page has been received and the entire department is responding. After that, there would be no further communication with 911 unless they were going to a rural area and required water supply, in which case only that one firefighter, and normally it would be the chief or the deputy chief, whoever's in charge of the department at the time, would radio back to 911 for 1 second call and indicate to them that they needed water and advise that they should send a tanker out. All the internal communications on the fire department should be happening on VHF radios that we already have. So 2 units would be good, 3 units would be extra good, but certainly not 5.
Well, and I have to defer because I just don't know what went into the figuring of why they needed 5 radios. I couldn't tell you. But if 3 is the number, I don't believe the price changes. So it's you can still do the resolution. We'll just knock it down to 3 and amend the quote.
Yeah, it doesn't even mention the number of units, just the price. Are they about 4 apiece, James? Do you know?
Couldn't say right off the top. They are
at least 35.
I thought that seems to ring a bell.
Yeah, 35 is.
Okay, so that would be right then, that they're pricing 5 of them at $19,460.
Yeah.
Total cost of 3 or 2.
Even if we had council's general direction tonight to purchase 3, the deadline on the quote, I believe was mid-April, April 17th, whatever. So we should move ahead with it. It's not as if it's not a requirement. It's for council to determine how many radios are actually needed. So if you want to go with 3, we can make a phone call tomorrow, get them to amend the quote, and pass a resolution at the next meeting.
Did we put in for 5 already?
That's what was on the quote, yes. And I don't know how that came about.
Because if we didn't, I was talking to the fire chief in Swan, and he informed me that if we didn't put in by that deadline, that basically after they went from fire department, they go to ambulance and down the list, and you will go to the bottom of the list, and it could be months before you could get any of those if we didn't apply in the proper time.
The application was made though, but just
Was it, as
wrong.
long as you put in for it, we're okay. But he said if you didn't put in for the radios, you got bumped and you went right back to the bottom.
Were you involved personally, Ken, in applying for them?
Well, what I did today was I did phone the area manager out of Winnipeg, and he confirmed that if we got our order in, he would hold that price.
Okay, so then,
Okay, so it's
yeah,
the process has been started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's just cut the numbers.
we've put it out there then, that was, the biggest thing was to make sure we had that application in by then, because Darren had said that fire department gets first, then ambulance, and then down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And once you missed your sign, you went to the bottom until they went through everybody else to get back to you, so. I said, well, as far as I know, we sent our application in, so.
I think these radios are going to be turned out. I don't know what the order will be, but they do need everybody getting on board so that they can start initiating the entire process. So I think there is a bit of urgency here, but I'm not going to say that council should go out and buy 5 radios just to buy 5 radios. If you think 3 is a number, that's fine too. But I'd like to get whatever council decides. I'd like to get moving on it
It's lots.
Having a spare won't hurt, but
Okay, what I have done here, the cost on the resolution as it was prepared is $19,460. If that's for 5 of them, the cost of 3 would be $11,760, I believe.
Okay,
Do it again, so I will change that amount on the thing and then we can pass it.
and then first thing tomorrow morning, I'll contact this fellow, and he can change his quote to reflect it as 3 radios instead of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Because I think Mr. Gade pointed that out, and so did the fire chief in town, that the last thing they want is a $4,000 radio going into a fire or into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And not everybody has to communicate with 911.
No. You only need a couple that can receive the call and coordinate, and then after that, the rest all are on their own handhelds.
It's all VHF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as this calculator works right, should be in business. Whereas the province of Manitoba is investing in a new state-of-the-art public safety communication system to replace the outdated FleetNet radio communication system used by police, fire, and ambulance services. And whereas Bell MTS are the providers of that service and have arranged for Motorola radios to be made available to municipal fire departments at a significant cost saving. Therefore be it resolved that Council authorize the purchase of radios for the Benito Fire Department from Bell MTS per their quote number PSE0126 at a total cost of $11,676.00. Do we have a mover for that?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councillor Wills, seconded by
I can second it.
Councillor Pierpont. Any further discussion? Not all in favor?
Yes.
And that is carried. Okay, committee reports. Anything for you, Mr. Gade?
As far as committee reports, not a lot of committees I'm on at the moment. Under the communications side of it, I had a concern from Kenville about a dog, but I think we should look at that in camera. This will be a bylaw enforcement thing likely. And I also had a question about staffing, but I see that is on the in-camera list already, so I believe we'll leave it till then.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wills?
I don't think I've done anything since last time we met.
Okay. Councillor Foster?
Transportation, eh? Yeah, transportation. Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah.
The interview?
Oh, yeah, interview too. Yeah, that's right too. Yeah, interview.
Budget meeting?
I was at the budget meeting.
Yeah, guess we're all budget meeting.
See, that's why I don't like me first.
Yeah.
Gotta hear everything.
Being
Right?
smart.
Councillor Kushniryk?
Transportation, budget meeting. And I don't know if we want to talk about auction sales or not, but
You were there.
we'll leave that for another time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Balasha?
Okay, so I attended the transportation meeting and also sat in on an interview for office staff. Was at a budget meeting. Last night I had a short health foundation meeting over the telephone. And I have one ratepayer request. It was a request I put in last year though, and I guess it must have got overlooked, but we need a little bit of gravel behind the back alley in the post office to the end.
Oh.
There's some of the homes in there. It's out. So I think it wouldn't take long. Just had to maybe remind Donna and maybe put it on our map. So just a little bit of gravel in the back alley.
By the hall there, eh?
But behind the hall and the homes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all the way from there. And that was all for me, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pierpont?
I had a transportation meeting and a budget meeting.
Okay. I too attended interview for office clerk, budget meeting, and transportation meeting as well. Mr. Jenkins, you have something?
Yes, I do. Reeve is aware of what my intentions are. I wanted to share them in open council with the rest of you. I have a bit of a health issue that I have to look after, and that is one of the reasons that I will be leaving your service as of May 30th. I would like to say it's been an excellent opportunity, excellent experience, but unfortunately I can't. I took a little bit of heat about telling a supposed lie from Mr. Gade. I looked at many of his Facebook, for want of a better word, rants. I've never had to work for a council, where one councillor on open media, social media, referred to the balance of their council as basically idiots, nerd, whatever, jerks was one expression that was used. Dictatorship. A council cannot function with the rift that has developed with this council over a period of years. Council, inevitably, any council, any member of council, any member of staff, including the CAO, if they are working, they will make mistakes. We like to think that a council will do whatever is in the best interest of the municipality. Once a resolution is passed, it has been my experience that you may not like it, but it's passed and should be supported by council members. You had your chance to debate it in open council, and sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. To take it one step further, to condemn your council in open media, and I know I'm going to catch shit over this in social media by the time this meeting is over. However, I cannot be part of this. I had what I consider an excellent career over 43 years between government and municipal government. And I just can't accept what's going on. I can't change it. I'm just a CAO. What's happening on that radio station and on Facebook, to me, is nothing short of sensationalism. It's nothing short of being any better than that great publication in the States, I don't even know if it's still out anymore, National Enquirer. And I wish that there's a way to see this through. Mr. Gade, as I said before, you're a smart guy. You've got some excellent tools there to promote this municipality, to try and get along with your Reva Council. You're going to have disagreements. If you don't, it's not normal. But what you're doing, in my opinion, is not normal. There's troubles being stirred up. There's people that agree with you. They may or may not know both sides of the story. As I said before, council's going to make mistakes. They always do. But usually, the mistakes are hopefully in the best interest of the people of the municipality. To have this show go on, I don't know how you will ever, you may attract a good CAO, but I don't know how you can retain them. I don't know how they will accept their names being taken out of context, perhaps, for actions that they have followed or recommended to council, which may or may not be right. Mistakes made, as I said. I just can't see myself being part of this, and therefore, as I said, as of the end of May, I am done. work diligently for the next couple of weeks, carrying out council's instructions. Unless council wants to see me dismissed before that, that's up to council. But unfortunately, I can't really justify my being there and working under those kind of conditions. So with that, the best I can do is wish you all the best of luck in your future deliberations, and hopefully things will work out. That's the only thing I can really use the word again, hope for, is that things do work out for all of you. And on that note, Reed, let's move on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. I think most of us are very, very sorry that you have made this decision, but obviously it's a decision that in your mind you had to make.
We do understand.
Ken, you've done a good job while you've been here.
Moved by Councillor Balasha, second by Councillor Pierpont, resolved that we do hereby accept the following verbal reports regarding council committees and communications. Councillor Kushniryk, Transportation Budget Meeting. Councillor Balasha, Transportation Meeting, Interview, Budget, and the Health Foundation, as well as Ratepayer Concern. Councillor Wills, Budget Meeting. Councillor Pierpont, Transportation and Budget Meeting. Councillor Gade, Ratepayer Concerns and Staffing. Councillor Foster, Transportation, Interview and Budget Meeting. And myself, Transportation, Interviews and Budget Meeting. And CAO Ken Jenkins giving his notice verbally. Any questions or comments on this? Not all in favor? That's carried. We'll do this once we come back. We will take a 10-minute recess. When we come back, we'll be going in camera. Moved by Councillor Pierpont, second by Councillor Kushniryk. Whereas the Swan Valley District Recreation Commission was formed by the Town of Swan River, Municipality of Swan Valley West, Municipality of Minnetonka's Bozeman, and the Swan Valley School Division to provide recreation programming for the residents within the member communities. And whereas there has been organizational structural changes as recommended in the SVDRC organizational study, excuse me, that has changed the role for the SVDRC from an operational function to an advisory function. And whereas the SVDRC has requested funding from the member municipalities to continue to provide recreation programming within the Swan Valley as part of the new advisory role to assist the communities in the delivery of recreational opportunities. And whereas the member municipalities are not in agreement to provide funding for this recreation programming, which places the SVDRC in a position of having no value in continuing to operate. Therefore be it resolved that the Municipality of Swan Valley West hereby agree to the dissolution of the SVDRC by September 30th, 2020, and that any retained surpluses be dispersed as follows. Top up the Swan Valley District Recreation Host Committee account to $30,000, which will amount to approximately $20,000 from the surplus to be used as a loan program to any large-scale recreational events in the future, to be managed and overseen by the Town of Swan River Recreation Director. The remainder of the surplus will be provided to the Community Foundations Swan Valley for use to provide grants to recreation and sports within the Swan Valley. Any comments or questions? If not, all in favor? Opposed? You were in favor, Bill?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's carried.
Who is the rec director now? Swan? Who's the rec director in Swan now? Who is the?
Amanda Nowak, that's the last name, yeah.
Okay, just some news. We attended by phone the auction equipment in Edmonton yesterday, and were successful in purchasing a tandem truck. It's a 206 Kenworth. It looks in reasonably good shape, and it is got a new home now. We paid $52,500 plus the transaction fees and documentation fees, etc. I think it comes to 56.5 or thereabouts, including GST. We get 2,900 back in, or 20-some hundred back in GST.
How's it getting here?
I'm checking right now, trucking for it to see if it would be
It might be
more reasonable
it might
that
be
way
cheaper,
or
yeah.
cheaper to go and get it. We'll see.
Well, anybody that goes to get it right now though has to 14-day self-isolate when they come back. That's
Yeah, that's
the one thing to remember, eh?
We better get a trucking outfit, I think,
Yeah.
bring it right now, if we can. There's, should get a good rate on the backhoe coming out of that way, I think.
That wouldn't be backhaul coming from there probably, but we'll see. We'll see what we can come up with, and I'll
What's
keep
your
you
idea?
abreast tomorrow.
What's your idea on that, Bill? The trucking outfit?
Well, there certainly is a lot of people looking for loads. Rates are somewhat low at the moment. I would recommend it rather than quarantining someone for 14 days.
Yeah.
As we see, like, fuel is really low. Fuel surcharge has gone from 50% to 10%. Like, it's a great time to haul something.
Anyway, we'll see what comes in. I've got feelers out there, so we will keep you up to date tomorrow as far as those that are coming to the airport meeting, and if nothing tomorrow, then on Thursday.
Sounds good.
Anything further?
I don't think so.
Not moved by Councillor Foster, second by Councillor Kushniryk. Resolved, this meeting shall now adjourn at 10:20 p.m. All in favor?
That's a meeting every week, every
That's
day.
carried.